An off-season altering move or not? Nick Pivetta to the Padres. John and Jim with you on the wrap-up show. Officially a 4-year, $55 million deal, but actually a 2-year deal because of an opt-out after 2026. He'll only be paid $4 million in 2025. The Padres are cash-strapped but creative. Certainly that has been the case for A.J. Preller. So Nick Pivetta added. What does it mean for Dylan Cease? And we'll discuss here over the next hour. As you make your way in, subscribe. We are 16 subs away from 8,000. So if we don't hit 8,000 tonight, this is the last you'll ever see of us. We'll be like on a milk carton tomorrow. So please subscribe. Year-round content for baseball and Padres fans in season and out of season. Spring training is underway. This is a Mike Schilt top 5 day of the year. Maybe he knew Pivetta was coming, and that's why he said that.
Dude,
subscribe,
maybe.
Smash the like button for us. Follow us on X at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell, and Steve. We really appreciate your support of the channel. Truly do. If you want to support our work, you can click the $sign below the chat box. We'll get to all of your super chats here tonight. So click that $sign below the chat box. If you want to become a member, click the join button down below. You get emojis and badges. This came out of, I guess, the pitcher's mound or left field. Padres had done virtually nothing. Now they've heated up a little bit with Jason Hayward and Connor Joe. This is the most significant move, clearly, of the offseason. A guy that has put together a good career, not a great career, has always had very good stuff. We'll see what Ruben Niebla can do with Nick Pivetta. And I think a bit of a shot in the arm, Jim, for a fan base, maybe even for an ownership group. The quiet Padres strike to start spring training with Nick Pivetta.
It's funny. So, you look at Nick Pivetta's stats over the last 4 years. He throws a good amount of innings, about, 145 and 2/3 last year, 142 and 2/3, 179, 155. Yep. So he gets you innings, right?
Yeah.
But over the last 4 years, 4.14 ERA, 4.04, 4.56, 4.53. I mean, I think that has to do with just like not being in a good pitcher's park, right? Maybe like some of his advanced stats are better, and they are, than what his ERA shows. Walks a lot of dudes. His whip is not great, right? But he can give you innings. But it's so funny because the Padres haven't done anything of significance all season, all off season, and Padres fans, they're just starving. Like, just give us a move. I don't care. Just like give us a semi-significant move. And this is the semi-significant move. It's like greatest move of all time, Nick Pivetta, baby. I don't think it's like the final piece of the puzzle. I think it's a good middle to back end of rotation piece, something that they absolutely needed. I think the contract is hilarious because
it is. It's so Padres.
It's so fun. It's a 4-year, $55 million deal, but it's completely fake. It's really a 2-year, $24 million deal.
Yeah,
because of the signing bonus. 23, 24, right? So it's a 2-year, 24-ish. His base is $1 million plus the $3 million signing bonus. So the same thing as Michael King.
Yep.
And that's good on AJ. AJ had to do some convincing, I'm sure, to get Pivetta to sign off on that, right? And then in year 2, it goes up to 19 per year, and we know the asking price for starting pitchers nowadays, 19 million, kind of seems kind of like right, especially if Nick has a decent season this year, right? If he puts together maybe like a Michael Wacha-ish type of year with the Padres, you could say 19 million, that's a steal. So I think it's a good move, and I think that to bolster the rotation, this is something that they needed for sure. To have Randy Vasquez and Matt Waldron and Stephen Kolek, right, be the back end of your rotation is a risky play, and you get somebody now that you feel comfortable that's going to give you innings. The one thing I will say, though, is, and we talked about this before we started the show, if this move leads to, like, okay, we have to get Nick Pivetta because we're about to trade Dylan Cease, then I absolutely hate it. I hate it because this shouldn't be about, oh, we're going to replace Dylan Cease when we trade him for Nick Pivetta. No, you should get Nick Pivetta to add to Dylan Cease and Michael King and Yu Darvish. You should be adding to a 93-win team to get better and try to get over that hump. So I like the move. If Dylan Cease stays, if Dylan Cease goes, I'm like, it negates the excitement for Padres fans if they trade Dylan Cease. the Nick Pivetta move, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Nick Pivetta has never yet been Dylan Cease. Like he's been a tier below Dylan Cease. He's been an effective major league starter. Forget about the win-loss record; it's irrelevant. He's always been a high strikeout, low walk, yet hard hit pitcher. This has always been the knock on Nick Pivetta. You
Low walk, I mean high walk.
For 15 years. My final 2 years in the minors, he briefly pitched in AAA with the Phillies when I was there. And at the time, he was considered a very promising young prospect. He came over in the Jonathan Papelbon deal, I want to say, from Washington. He was a high draft pick. He was a big prospect in the Nats organization. He's no longer a kid anymore. The positives on Pivetta, to your point, is he hasn't been a true workhorse, but by and large, he makes his starts, right? He's not going to give you 200 innings, but by and large, like you read off those 4 years in Boston, he's giving you 150 plus innings on average. He pitched in the postseason 1 year. He was good that postseason. I like it. I do like it. I'm not infatuated with it. I think Ruben Niebla could potentially help him improve on his numbers. If a 4.14 in the American League turns into a 3.65 in the National League in this ballpark, I think that's absolutely realistic. I think if he makes those 30 starts and has a 3.7, then that's the necessary workload for Nick Pivetta. I'm 100% with you on Dylan Cease. This is not the time to unload Dylan Cease, but I mean, they're clearly cash strapped. I mean, that is 100% accurate. Mm-hmm. Kevin has reported on that. They're a dichotomy. They're well over the CBT. This will cost them a draft pick and international slot money.
Yeah, that too.
So they were highly motivated to do it, but they're well over the CBT. So they're willing to go over the CBT, but they're actually lowering kind of their payroll in the process as well, because this is such a minor move from a payroll perspective in 2025. Consider this, in 2026, you got money coming off the books left and right. Eric Hosmer, potentially Luis Ariz, potentially Michael King, potentially Dylan Cease. I mean, we don't want to see all of that happen, but you got money coming off the books everywhere. So you can afford to give them $20 million in 2026. You have no money to give them in 2025. I guess my question is this: what is the grand plan? Is the plan, let's just compete? We got the win now roster. We can pay the 20% surcharge tax on the CBT. Let's just win right now. Or is the plan, let's pay this dude $4 million and get rid of the $14 million that Dylan Cease makes? And that'll be really interesting. And AJ Preller's scheduled to meet with the media tomorrow. Maybe a Mike Schilt top 5 day. AJ Preller speaking to the media at spring training. So we'll see what Preller says about it. He'll beat around the bush. He obviously won't be definitive. But I don't find it overly surprising. He had just said they want to sign a starting pitcher. They want to add starting pitching. They do it. So it's AJ Preller being AJ Preller, and he's creative, and he somehow finds a way, even with the ownership strife and even with the quiet offseason. He's, I think, positively impacted the roster with this move.
Now, going into next year, I don't even want to talk about it. Who cares? I mean, it's whatever. I was thinking about just like, all right, they have, Manny. I don't know, Manny, Tatis, Xander, Cronenworth, Darvish, Musgrove, Pivetta, and Suarez if he comes back, or if he even is here for $16 million.
26 or 25? Are you talking about 2026 or 25?
Talking about the 2026 season, right?
Okay.
So you got 8 guys there total. If you take their AAV numbers, is 172 million, or like 170-ish million for 8 guys. So like, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like we're just gonna push this down the road. Like we're just gonna push this one down the road. But at least they have now going into next year, Nick Pivetta, Yu Darvish, and Joe Musgrove. Granted, coming off of Tommy John, but still, at least you have something there. You're not completely bare. And who knows? I don't know how long Darvish is going to play for, right? I think the thing when he signed was, well, he's going to be lucky to finish this contract out, because he's
not finishing that contract.
Yeah, he's almost 40. But anyway, just back to this season alone, Nick Pivetta is a really good addition if you are asking him to be your 4 or 5 starter.
Mm-hmm.
If you're asking him to be your 1 or 2, then you got problems. But as a 4 or 5, great pickup. Now it's confusing. Like I think the first thing I thought was I was confused because Preller, you don't see him do many deals that cost him draft picks. This cost him a draft pick here because he he got a qualifying offer from the Red Sox, Nick Pivetta. He declined that. And then you sign him. And then I'm looking at his AAV, which is around 14. Correct?
Yeah. 55 divided by 4 is 13.75.
Okay. So around 14. And then I'm thinking about the CBT number. I'm like, they're way past that. What the hell's going on here?
Way past it.
Now, the cash payroll this season, not their CBT number, is still under 200. It's like 197. Jeff Sanders put that out a little while ago. So you're just thinking like, all right, hold on, pause. If the plan all along, all offseason was to get under the CBT, and now they're just like, F it, then what did something change? What's going on? A lot of it's confusing to me just from the standpoint of the messaging that we have heard reporting. It's not just Kevin reporting that. It's also Dennis as well. I mean, it's multiple people reporting. Jeff Passan has reported that like they want to stay under that CBT number, and they're going to need to make some sizable moves at this moment in time to get under the CBT.
But if you think about it, and I agree with you, there's been mixed messaging, no doubt. If you think about it, this going over the CBT is less costly than spending $15 million on a starting pitcher. Let me explain. They're giving Nick Pivetta $4 million. They're right now $17 million over the CBT. That's a 20% tax. 20% of $17 million is $3 million.
So $7 million.
Exactly. It's exactly right. They just got a starting pitcher for the season. Now, this is not, we're getting in the weeds, but this isn't 2026. This is 2025. Right. If they have cash issues, they just save cash by going over the CBT. Like, consider that, because their payroll number is lower, way lower than the CBT number. All they're doing is paying if everything stayed the same, and they might move Dylan Cease, or they might move Jake Cronenworth, or they might move a $2 million contract. We have no idea. But even if everything stayed the same and they're set, you say, wow, $17 million over the CBT. No, their payroll, to your point, is $50 million less than their CBT. And the tax on $17 million overages is 20% of $17 million. That's $3.4 million, which in the grand scheme probably benefits the San Diego Padres. And this is what I'm thinking if I'm Preller. Hey, I don't know if I'm going to be here in 5 years from AJ Preller. I have to be thinking that. Yeah. And secondly, I'd rather lose a pick. If I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, and if I don't have the option to increase payroll, I'd rather give up the pick. If I can't increase my payroll, I'll give up the pick. Because what other option do you have? He'd prefer to increase his payroll, but he's not the one that is writing the checks. So if he can't increase payroll, what's your second pick in next year's draft? It's your second pick in next year's draft, but you didn't increase your payroll. So I think you just live to fight another day, and you lose your second pick in next year's draft. And the world keeps spinning, but you are built to win now, folks, because Manny Machado has 2 more years of this type of productivity. That's what the numbers would suggest. Historically, same thing with like a Xander Bogaerts, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to go win. So hopefully that's what they're efforting to do, and they're not going to trade Dylan Cease in the next 72 hours.
Yeah, this is I'm not going to say masterclass contract from AJ, but this is a very creative contract from AJ. Kind of like with the Michael King, you're like, I didn't see that one coming. 1 million base plus a 3 million signing bonus. Like, all right, he's expected to make 7.25 or something along those lines, almost 8 million this year, and you have his base down to 4. Now the tax will make it, but at the same time, he has once again, it's like, got a challenge last year and he knocked it out of the park, and he's got another challenge this year, and it's TBD. Obviously, we have no idea, but the Nick Pivetta move, I like it. I just do. I don't think it's the like, oh my God, it's going to take this team to the next level. No, but it's going to help this team a lot if he goes out there and pitches 150 innings and gives his team 28 to 30 starts and, lowers his ERA in a pitcher's ballpark, like you said, to around 3.7, 3.65. Like that is plenty serviceable for a 4-starter.
Look at it like this, Jim. I mean, and we're going to get to these supers in a moment. Guys, if you are here, there's 300 of you here live. There'll be thousands on replay over the next 24 hours. Please subscribe. We are 14 subscribers away from 8,000.
We're not leaving until we get to 8K.
And we're not leaving it until we get to 8K, which means you have to help us get to 8K. We'll get to all these supers in a moment. We appreciate your support. Click the $ below the chat box. Damn it, I think. Oh, here's my consideration. ESPN Bet has the Padres at 85.5 wins. Okay, we've seen anywhere from, let's just throw out from 83 to 86, whatever, even if it's 80.
What are their Zips projections now?
We're going to get them. We'll get them soon from Dan Zimborski. But consider this. Nick Pivetta is a 2-WAR starting pitcher. He's not Dylan Cease. He's not Michael King, but he's a 2-WAR starting pitcher consistently. That's who he's been. 2 more wins? Because you're going from a replacement level player. I hate to say that, but I mean, I don't know what Johnny Burrito is, and I don't know what Matt Waldron looks like in a full season. So you're going from replacement level to 2-WAR. If you go from 85 wins to 87 wins, and I'm with you, I'm not saying it's the end-all be-all or they're winning the World Series, but that could be the difference. I mean, they're on the margins. Getting to the postseason is going to require beating teams like Arizona and San Francisco and Philadelphia and the Mets. I mean, you're on the margins, and you might not win 90. They're never going to win 96 games. The plan this year isn't to win 96 games. I think 93 last year was spectacular. They just lightning in a bottle stuff in the second half. It just worked. I don't think they'll win 93 games, truthfully. But if they win 87, 88, and they are in the postseason by a game or two, and Nick Pivetta plays a role in that, then that's why you make a move like this. I mean, it's just as simple as that. JD Gotcha, thank you. And let's get to some of these supers. He says, Friars could afford to spend money after all, but that's what we're contemplating tonight. We really don't know if they're increasing their spend. I mean, maybe on the margins, but truly in 2025, Jim, I mean, this is going to cost them we're speculating $4 and $7 million, which is nothing.
This is a backloaded contract. It's a $1 million base plus a $3 million signing bonus. This is not a situation that you could be like, well, then why did they just sign Profar? Well, Profar was asking for $14 million per year. You weren't going to be able to backload that and have a $1 million base plus another $5 million signing bonus for Profar this year. I get that, and I understand that it's confusing, but it is kind of like what they have to do for this year to create the flexibility that they need, which is you got to backload this, make it either super short, give the guy a bunch of outs, bunch of options, signing bonuses, incentives, like all of that. And that's what it is. Like on face, if you just read 4 for 55, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, like
right.
It's not to your point, it's a 2-year, $23 million deal. I mean, you talk about club friendly. You don't get more club friendly than this deal. I'd be very surprised if he was here for more than 2 years. I think if he's here a third year, it's because he's been disappointing, is my guess.
Yeah.
Because it's basically a 2-year deal.
And
starting pitching, I mean, the cost of starting pitching is basically more than what the Padres are paying Nick Pivetta. So I think, but I don't care about 3 years from now. That's the least concern that we have, but it's a 2-year deal. And like you said, in 2026, they're going to need his services in the middle of that rotation. Jacob, thank you, man, for the super chat. He says there were 6 pitchers in the National League last year that struck out 200 batters. We could easily have 3 this year between Cease King and Pivetta. That's an interesting point. I mean, if Pivetta, who's a high strikeout guy, like Schulte's going to tell you this tomorrow, 26% strikeout guy, 5% walk guy. If he gives you the innings, I mean, if he can get you that 175 plus innings, he's capable of striking out 200 batters. There's no question about it. And Cease and King are capable as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's reasons to like the Padres rotation right now. I'm not saying it's the best in baseball, but I think it's a very formidable rotation if Dylan Cease stays.
Do you think Nick Pivetta inspires hope renewed for Padres fans?
No, but what I do think is in an offseason like this where the widow of the former owner is suing his brothers, you needed to do something. The perception was awful.
Right.
And perception matters, and they're going to draw a lot of fans. And again, this isn't Roki Sasaki, and this isn't Blake Snell, and this isn't Dylan Cease, and it's not Michael King. We don't believe. Now, if he turns into Michael King, terrific. But let's hope that happens. Maybe it is possible with Ruben, and he's a good pitcher. But no, this is just something they needed to do. That's what it is to me. This is if you're in the business of getting to the postseason, you needed to do something like this.
Yeah, and you know, going out and getting another Dylan Cease type or another Michael King type, wasn't in the cards. And I'm not saying that they don't need those types of players, because of course every team would love to do that. I mean, the Dodgers have just decided that we're going to sign every single good player possible. So you never want to sit there and be like, oh, we don't need this good player.
Right.
But what they did need is they needed depth, and they needed more starting pitching that wasn't question marks. And that's what Nick Pivetta provides you. He provides you a starting pitcher that gives you depth and isn't a question mark. You know, Vasquez and Waldron and Brito, those are all question marks. They had nice moments, except for Brito. But truthfully, you need somebody that you could be confident sticking in the 4 or 5 slot in your rotation, preferably closer to the top. And then you feel just comfortable with him every 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you the depth that you need. Now, I will say this, you know, as I talked about at the start of the show, if you remember, Jeff Passan reported, what was it? Maybe like, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that if the Padres were to trade Dylan Cease, they would turn to either Jack Flaherty or Nick Pivetta.
Right.
So again, I'll say, like, if this move is to add to what they have, great. But if this move is to replace and be like, okay, we're going to trade Dylan Cease here soon, so we need someone to replace him, then I hate it. Because,
well, what if it's this? What if they did it differently? What if it was Cronenworth or Suarez?
then
or
that's
Wandy
great.
Peralta.
All I'm talking about is Dylan Cease. If they trade Dylan Cease, I'll lose my mind. But if they trade a combination of Suarez, or I know they want to trade Wandy Peralta, I know it. Yeah. Or Jake, and you know, that combination, then I'm cool too, and I like it. But anybody but Dylan Cease is was my take right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like their bullpen, and they have enough back end pieces that I think Robert Suarez is replaceable. I mean, it's not my number one preference. I would prefer to have him, but at 10 plus million, I understand that sometimes you got to rob Peter to pay Paul. And I think starting pitching is just more important. And it's not like they don't have any weapons in the back of their bullpen. They, in fact, do. So thank you, Sam, for the super chat. I mean, Suarez, Peralta, Cronenworth. I mean, there's not a lot of options when you look at how heavy some of those contracts are. And then, I mean, it's like 8 guys getting a lot of money and then like 15 guys getting nothing. So there's not a lot of options to free up real money. Robert Suarez is a real option to free up money. I think it's a very realistic possibility. I think Dylan Cease is a very realistic possibility. I still think Luis will rise. I mean, anything is possible with AJ Preller. He is such a wheeler and dealer, and this organization is so unpredictable right now. We have no idea what their ultimate goal is with this payroll. We don't. So it's hard to predict, is my point. It's really hard to know, like, is this the finished product? Or is this step 1 of 2? Or is this step 1 of 3, 4, 5 between now and the start of the season?
Yeah, I'm sure AJ's not done. Like, I don't know. We're going to hear from him tomorrow, and he'll probably say something and then do something completely different, right? Like, oh, we're done. We're good. And then go and make another trade or a move. But yeah, I just didn't have this in the cards. I thought the next move was a trade, because I didn't expect them to sign anybody. And tells you what I know, right?
Well, nobody. I mean, you know, I thought, you know, Dennis and Kevin have reported on the possibility of someone like Pivetta. To your point, Jeff Passan as well. Shoot, Passan's article today on best available free agents, it was either today or yesterday, linked Pivetta to the Padres, along with 2 or 3 other teams.
Right.
But that's why I said I honestly wasn't surprised by it. Maybe the timing. You're always surprised a little bit by the timing.
Right when we go off the air, though.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock. We spent 4 hours talking about Mike Schilt, and then it's 6:03. That pisses me off. But at least we got to do a wrap-up show. Yeah. Thanks, AJ. Richard, man, appreciate your longtime support of the channel and the generous super chat, guys. If you are here, please subscribe. Year-round content for baseball and Padres fans. There's about 350 of you here live right now. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing, we're going to get to 8,000 tonight with your help. We're about 13 subscribers away right now. And thank you for the supers. Click the $ below the chat box. We appreciate your support of the channel. Like Richard, who says AJ should be awarded the Medal of Honor, filling in holes with both hands tied behind his back. San Diego can afford to make moves. You're packing Petco. Trading Cease would be a mistake. You are competitive. Yeah, I think we all would agree with that. And Richard's a Dodger fan, but I think most people would agree with that. AJ is doing some yeoman's work, and I don't know what the plan is next.
Well,
but he's doing yeoman's work.
I won't say he's doing yeoman's work. These moves got to pan out first. Like it feels like the left field situation right now. Like you ever see those memes where there's like a giant crack in the asphalt and there's like a Band-Aid over it?
Right.
That's kind of what it feels like
Fair.
for left field with Jason Hayward and Connor Joe until proven otherwise. So I'm gonna hold my reservations off on there. The Nick Pivetta move, I do like. I've said that. I like that move as long as it means Dylan Cease is also staying. And I think Nick Pivetta is a great number 4 for you. Sign me up. Perfect. And then Elias Diaz, like, I mean, I don't know. So the really the one move that has made me feel something has been tonight with Nick Pivetta. And it's February 12th.
Yeah, I mean, my reaction to Jason Hayward and Connor Joe was like, like an asterisk. Like, what does this even mean? I mean, it's just like, what'd you say earlier today? Like a car ornament or whatever, like a hood ornament. Like, what is? I mean, Jason Hayward, the name, but what is it really worth? I mean, it's not 2012. It's like Jason Hayward hopefully has value. Connor Joe hopefully has value. Elias Diaz hopefully has value. Nick Pivetta has to have value. You know what I mean? This is the first player that actually has to be fruitful and hopefully can have a really positive return for the Padres. Again, nobody's saying front end Blake Snell type numbers in 2025. That'd be terrific.
That's why you're asking. That's why you're looking for.
Yeah,
you're looking for a guy like
productive in your number 3, 3.5 in your rotation. Right. That would be good.
It's just out of left field from the standpoint of, draft pick compensation involved. You have to sign him to a multi-year deal. That was where I was like, that ain't happening. And then it did. So
it did. HBBBV, thank you, man. Longtime supporter of the channel. He says Niebla will work his magic. And I don't doubt that. I think it could be beneficial. I don't know about Snell getting Tommy John, but I mean, Niebla is an important piece of the puzzle, multi-year deal. He's been here now multiple years. He's had success, clearly. Unfortunately, not enough to lure Roki himself here, but Niebla is an important piece of that puzzle. I am always amazed, though, when every single pitcher that signs, everyone's like, oh, well, I know his career numbers are awful, but Niebla. I mean, you can't do that with everyone. It's not fair to the pitching coach, and that's honestly like a disservice to the player. Like, the player's got to perform. You can't put it all on Ruben Niebla, and maybe they do add a pitch, or maybe they do change a frequency of how he throws a pitch, and that can mean everything. And I'm sure they'll do everything in their power to get his. Again, it doesn't. If you look at his numbers and you look at like some of the Fangraph stuff, what doesn't make a lot of sense is he throws hard, he hits spots, he doesn't walk a lot, and he's got a high strikeout rate. Yet he gives up hard contact, including a lot of home runs. So there's something a little weird in there with Pivetta, where sometimes it's really good, and then all of a sudden he can get hit really hard. That has been the trend with Pivetta previously. So maybe Niebla figures something out and shoot. I mean, maybe it's better than a 3.70 ERA next year for the Padres. But I think I would just take right now 160 innings in that 3.65 and live to see another day.
And even if it is around a 4 ERA, his record last year was awful. 6-12 or something along those lines.
Yep, 6-12.
You could still be a productive, good pitcher with around a 4 ERA.
100%.
You don't need to have everyone in your staff be a guy that his ERAs are on the 3s.
2.9.
Yeah. You can still be a productive pitcher. In many ways, if you have a 4 ERA, you can pitch a lot of innings. You can have a lot of strikeouts. You can. Wins are almost like kind of a lucky stat, so to say. But
yeah, I agree.
The offense could pick you up, and maybe you flip that and you go 12-6 next year with a 4.01 ERA, and that's a really good year with 160 innings pitched. Like, close to a 200 strikeout year. I'd take that right now for a 4-starter.
It's possible. And like, we're going to have to see it. I mean, there's no guarantees, but it's at least possible. It's not like an extreme stretch. It's not like, hey, what if Stephen Kolek puts up 180?
That is
like, that's where it's like, that's not realistic. Stephen Kolek could make a spot start, but what Nick Pivetta can do is actually throw potentially 175 plus innings.
I saw something today. Someone was like, AJ Preller heard Mike Schilt say Stephen Kolek was going to become a starter, so he went out and signed Nick Pivetta.
Just like that, hours later.
He's like, screw this.
PM. Guys, we'll get back to the conversation again. Please subscribe. 13 subscribers away from 8,000. We'll get there tonight with your help. So please subscribe, whether you're here live or on replay. Also, we can't do these shows without the support of you, our viewers, and our sponsors. And Mark Nimitz has been with us since day one. If you're new to the channel, he's just terrific. He's a terrific insurance agent based in San Diego, lifelong Padres fan, native San Diegan. I've had insurance policies through Mark for years, life insurance and earthquake and homeowners, and you can as well. If you ever need him, he's going to be there for you, whatever it is. I mean, he could be on a flight and he's going to email you back, which he's done with me. I filed a claim in 2022 because of a flood, and he saved us so much time and money. So maybe you need auto insurance, maybe you need homeowners, maybe it's renters or condo or whatever it is, earthquake. Let Mark help. Again, longtime supporter of this channel. If you support the channel, please support our sponsors, including Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. Click the link in the description down below. Get free quotes online or by calling Mark. If you call Mark tomorrow, he'll talk to you about Nick Pivetta and about saving you money on your insurance. So Mark Nimitz, title sponsor of the Wrap-Up Show. If you have an insurance need, consider Mark Nimitz first.
Yeah, all his information is on that ticker below, mnimitz at farmersagent.com. When you reach out to Mark, let him know that John and Jim from the Wrap-Up Show sent you.
So now, we wait for the other shoe, and maybe the other shoe is something positive where they're actually adding, or maybe the other shoe is something that is an inevitability. I mean, Dennis has been writing about something that he wrote yesterday, that it may seem counterintuitive, but they might add starting pitching to move starting pitching, or vice versa. They might move starting pitching to then add starting pitching. This was Dennis Lin yesterday in The Athletic.
Today?
Yes, he wrote tonight something briefly on Pivetta. He did.
The Padres Pivetta struck a heavily backloaded deal that could have significant implications for the rest of the rotation. For now, San Diego appears inclined to hang on to Dylan Cease.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Terrific.
I hope that's right. I'll believe it when I see it. Says the significantly backloaded deal, which is pending a physical, could increase the chances the Padres retain trade candidate and top starter Dylan Cease through at least the end of spring training. Let's see here. A deal involving closer Robert Suarez remains at least a decent possibility. Let's see here. Says the Padres, with the addition of Pivetta, will see their estimated luxury tax number rise to almost $259 million, or roughly $18 million above the first tax threshold. Team decision makers, however, have been more concerned with the pure payroll number.
That's what we were talking about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, that fact is reflected in the Padres' recent deals with King, who is owed just $4 million, and outfielders Connor Joe and Jason Hayward. The two are each only at $1 million. Padres' creative maneuvering does not mean Pivetta comes without substantial risk, because his first opt-out does not come until after the 2026 season. It's guaranteed at least $23 million over 2 years. For San Diego, future costs paled in comparison to their immediate need for another starter. Pivetta's arrival should again give them one of the better rotation quartets in the league. For now, Cease is expected to remain part of that group.
I mean, that's encouraging. I mean, I don't see the risk to me is in paying him $23 million over 2 years. I mean, there's no risk in that. You're not going to get any starter that has any dividends for less than $23 million over 2 years. I mean, shoot, he turned down a $21 million qualifying offer, and he basically got it for 2 years. So
Verlander was 15 a year. You got 1 for 15 Verlander. He's like 48 years old.
I think you're getting him at half off. I mean, the qualifying offer is 21, and you're getting him for 23 for 2 years. Now, do I love giving up my second pick next year in the draft? I don't care. I'm sure AJ Preller does. I personally don't care. And now they're giving a $500,000 in international bonus money. You know that impacts them because they love. I mean, they've had some high impact international signings. Leo DeVries, Ethan Salas come to mind. But you got to fill out your rotation, and you got to win in 2025. I guarantee in those conversations back and forth between like John Seidler and AJ Preller, AJ's like, John, I got a half-baked roster that's costing hundreds of millions of dollars that isn't getting younger. You have to finish this thing off. I mean, come hell or high water, what is the purpose of living in a mansion with 3 walls? You have to have the 4th wall. And they just had to complete this rotation. It makes no sense to have Stephen Kolek and Johnny Brito in your rotation if you're trying to compete and win games in the postseason. That just doesn't make any sense. So you're going to have 3 million people in the ballpark, and you've got Manny Machado and Yu Darvish on your team. Just go finish the thing off. And that's, I think, what they're at least attempting to do with a move like this tonight.
Yeah, the rotation is ahead of the left field position as far as needs go. They have, we've said this before, their top 4 in their lineup is really legitimate. Good. If they're humming, they're going to be really good.
Yes.
With Arise and Toddy and Merrill and Manny. And then, hey, if Jake can give you, pretty decent year, and if Xander can have a bounce back, so like you can put some runs on the board if you get like an MVP type season from Manny or Toddy. But you could not overcome a rotation as I'm not going to say thin as this, because they do have 3 legitimate starters at the front end,
right?
But the depth wasn't great, and you were running a risk. Darvish hasn't, like you said today, good point. Has Darvish had a full year with the Padres since he's been here?
Maybe one time, but you can't count on that for a 39-year-old. That can't be the expectation.
I mean, King had a fantastic year last year, best pitcher on the team, but can he back that up? Right? Dylan Cease, I have faith in. Dylan Cease, I have faith, can give you 185 innings and 210 strikeouts and a 3.5 ERA, 3.4, right? Like, maybe hopefully lower. You want him to be in the 2s, but he's going to be very consistent for you and have amazing stretches, and then some kind of not so great stretches. But yeah, the back end of the rotation, I was not looking forward to the Stephen Kolek experiment or the Johnny Brito and Randy Vasquez and Matt Waldron experiment. Like, I'm sorry, I could not sit there and get behind. You know what? I'm going to throw more knuckleballs. Like, all right.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best news of the night, and thank you, Ishmael, for the super, and I think the best news of the night, if Dennis, what he writes proves to be fully accurate, is that it's not that they've signed Nick Pivetta. It's that they've signed Nick Pivetta and they won't trade Dylan Cease, or they're not inclined to do it immediately. So that's the story. I think Pivetta was a nice chip, but Dylan Cease is a better chip. And if you're keeping your better chip and you've added a chip next to him, that's a win-win. Ishmael says, hey, guys, I'm glad for tonight's news, but if Cease does get traded for prospects, are we guaranteed under 80 wins? First of all, I don't think you could say that definitively, even if Dylan Cease wasn't here. Is it me, but I'm expecting worse? No, I'm not. I'm not expecting them not to win 80 games next year. I'm absolutely not. I right now have an expectation that Padres fans are going to share, even with this disappointing offseason, now with this Pivetta move, and if Cease is staying here, it remains fully disappointing if they're not in the postseason in 2025. Now, I'm not saying it's easy or you fall out of bed in the postseason. It will take work, and there might be some highs and lows in there. It might not be inevitable, but I can't get on board with spending this kind of money and having this type of fan support and being like, maybe 80 wins this year. No, I think they got to get to the postseason. I think they think they're positioning themselves to get to the postseason.
Even before the Pivetta signing, if they kept Dylan Cease and if they had this roster they have right now before the Pivetta signing going into the year, I was thinking like 85, 86, 87 tops if like everything goes right for you, right? With the Pivetta signing, I still think 86, 87, but it's you've now created a little more margin for error. And that's what you want to do by creating depth. When you have a team that's very deep, you create margin for error, and then you create a scenario where everything doesn't have to go perfect. I still think things have to go pretty damn well for you, but Pivetta in the rotation with Cease and King and Darvish, it gives you pretty good 1 through 4, to be honest with you. And so now I think 87 wins doesn't feel out of the realm of possibility. And if everything clicks and you get, an MVP-ish type of year from one of your big dogs, like, I mean, they could push 89 wins. The D-backs last year started out awful and they got 89 wins. Now they missed the postseason, but they had Corbin Carroll, who had a fall off from grace, at least for the first half. They still won 89 games. So Yeah, I think 87, 88 wins is definitely doable for this team.
And I also think having 4 legitimate starters, and we can't assume their health, I think having 4 good starters makes your 5th spot a lot less of a liability. And I would trust AJ Preller, front office, Ruben Niebla to navigate with their depth. I do think between Randy Vasquez and Matt Waldron and Johnny Brito and Stephen Kolek and wherever else, they should effectively be able to get through a turn in the rotation with it being just one piece of a 5-man rotation. I wouldn't want to throw 2. Again, I wouldn't want my 4 and 5 spots to be completely unknown, but to have one of your 5-man rotation be Matt Waldron, who had a nice 20-start run last year, or Randy Vasquez, who at least can be quasi-effective or was a year ago, I don't have a lot of qualms about that. I really don't. I mean, they might get bright spots in that 5th spot. Maybe Matt Waldron has a great year, or maybe Randy Vasquez has a great year. Again, my concern would be if you're counting on 2 of those guys all year long. To count on one of those guys and maybe a piecemeal together, it's Vasquez for 10 starts and Waldron for 10, etc. I don't have any concerns with that. Truthfully, I think that's how most Major League Baseball teams will probably operate in 2025.
I see Faulty Spork in the chat. You want to know? He goes, Pivetta 4.15 ERA in 27 appearances. How is that better than Matty Nux? Well, Matty Nux had a 4.91 ERA, and his ERA ballooned in the last 2 months of the season to the point where they had to send him down, and you never heard from him again.
So, yeah, I mean, it is better.
Yeah.
ERA is not the only. I think you guys all. Yeah. ERA, it's more impactful than win-loss, but ERA is not the end-all, be-all statistic either.
And it's funny because look at the Padres' last 3 playoff appearances going back to 2020. All right. What's a common thread in all 3 of those playoff appearances?
Say that one more time.
Their last 3 playoff appearances.
Oh, they last 3 playoff appearances, they had good starting pitching.
No. They didn't have enough starting pitching.
2024, I don't think they were done in by starting pitching. They started Yu Darvish in Game 5, right, and lost 2-0.
Yeah, but
I mean, like they got all the way to the end of their season.
Okay, let me rephrase that. How many starting pitchers do they have in the last 2 postseason appearances that you felt comfortable with? 3.
Well, Cease, Waldron, King, even though Cease struggled, or not Cease, Waldron, Cease, King, Darvish.
Okay, so 3.
Yeah.
And what did them in 2022?
Oh, they ran out of starting pitching in 2022, clearly.
Right. But they still had 3 guys. They had
2020, they had 0. Everyone had
I know.
It was injured.
Yeah. But my point is, if somehow, big if, all right, you get to the postseason this year and these 4 dudes stay healthy, then maybe you have 4 guys that you can count on and not be forced to start Dylan Cease on 3 days rest in a Game 4, went up 2-1. You know, the Joe injury last year, truthfully, I think it was way bigger than what we led on to believe, because it sped everything up. It put guys in positions that, you know, they're not used to. And it gave this, like, I don't know, a little dark cloud over the team that you just lost one of your like main dudes, and that you'd have to go through the rest of the postseason with only 3 guys you counted on.
And also consider, like, you're starting the season, Jim, with 4 effective starters. If you're actually good in 2025 and there are 11 games over 500 at the deadline, there's no reason to think that creative AJ Preller won't try to add some semblance of additional starting pitching that's cost effective, controllable, guy that has another year of arbitration, maybe in 2026. So, like, if you actually are healthy with your rotation and if you are playing well, like you were in 2024. Now, 2024, he just threw everything at it. I mean, he bolstered the back of his bullpen was terrific. I mean, he had a World Series caliber team. I think that's fair. They didn't do it, but he fielded a roster that was capable of winning at a very high level, and it happened to lose in a 5-game series to the Dodgers. But I really don't pin much of it on Preller. I think he positioned the team to potentially make a really deep run in the postseason. All right, we are 10 subs away from 8,000. So please, if you have not subscribed, if you're here live or on replay on a night where the Padres have finally done something, we've been doing this all offseason.
They did something.
Nothing all offseason. They finally have done something. Can we please all share in that by subscribing to the wrap-up show? Also, back in 2025, Jim, our friends at Underdog Fantasy are back, and you can play right now. And listen to this. For our viewers, you can take advantage of up to a $1,000 offer if you use promo code PODSWRAP. Click the link in the description down below, plus a free gimme pick, PADSWRAP. Details in the description down below. Underdog could not be simpler or easier. Simple pick'ems, including PGA Genesis Golf right here in my backyard at Torrey Pines. Simple, higher or lower. Will Colin Morikawa have higher or lower than 3.5 birdies tomorrow? Well, it might rain. Will Justin Thomas have, let's see, higher or lower than, I don't even know, but I'm not a golf guy, but Jim is. But
what did you say there? I can't
I
read
don't
it.
know.
What does it say? Just read it.
35.5 holes, 1 through 9 strokes.
Okay, so on the front 9, is he going to shoot higher or lower than 35.5?
I said lower.
Okay.
And then you
So
can do college basketball.
Do pretty well.
NBA, is Anthony Edwards going to score higher than 29.5 points? I mean, boom, $10, and this can pay $60. No, hold on, $10. You get the point. It's simple, higher and lower. They'll give you a free pick'em if you sign up right now. All you have to do is use promo code PODSWRAP, PADSWRAP. Couldn't be simpler. Couldn't be easier. Here's a graphic for you. Win up to 1,000 times your money in a single night. Just pick higher or lower. Remember to use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP.
Yeah, QR codes right there, guys. Also, description below, PODSWRAP. Download the Underdog Fantasy app right now. Use our promo code. Sign up. Start playing. It's fun. It's easy. It's simple. The Super Bowl was awesome with how many times I played on Underdog Fantasy. And you could play too, and it's just you'll love it. Guarantee it. Yeah, we're psychos, Nick.
We are psychos, dude. I mean, we're
how we're still both like married with like,
it's amazing,
stable relationships. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, relatively stable. No, pretty stable. Pretty stable. I mean, listen, I think there's some truth here. I'm not running away from this point. Like M. Sir, like Pivetta gives up a lot of home runs. And wait until he's like pitching in Arizona or Dodger Stadium or Coors Field. Yeah, fair. I mean, he's going to have to be better in his home run rate. And I don't have it in front of me, but it has been good. And his numbers, have been good enough. And he's pitched in the American League. And let's be honest, Fenway is a freaking bandbox. So that's not like the greatest indicator either. And Petco, there have been a lot of home runs the last 3 years, but it's a more pitcher-friendly park than Fenway. I promise you that. At times, it's as pitcher-friendly as you get outside of Seattle. So I think it's somewhere in between. But yeah, it's a tougher division. I mean, the Coors Field and Dodger Stadium with the lineup, and certainly Arizona with the way the ball can travel there. So that's a fair statement on Nick Pivetta.
He was in a division last year with the MVP Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, Vladdy Guerrero Jr., the Baltimore Orioles Gunnar Henderson.
Those joke ballparks, Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park. Yeah.
So look, it's not like he's never faced good hitting before, let's pause a little bit. Yeah. Will it be tougher to pitch, in bandboxes if he gives up hard hit balls? Like, yeah, it will be tough to pitch in Arizona. It always is. Arizona's always weird. Colorado's always weird. But, he was in a pretty good division last year when it comes to offense as well.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, it's just, when you start spring training, you don't know what the storylines are going to be. We have been talking to Kevin this week, and what are we even? And we said today the biggest storyline doesn't have anything to do with really what's going to go on in camp. It was like, are you going to move Dylan Cease? Are you going to move Robert Suarez? Are you going to add to this rotation? Like, that's the storyline. It's not like, hey, how does the platoon work between Joe and
how does Brandon Lockridge look out there?
And that's not overly impactful. And you don't have a Merrill type player this year in camp. It's not like Leo DeVries is supposed to break camp with the team. There's no shot. It's not like Ethan Salas is supposed to break camp. There's no shot. So yeah, there'll be some bright spots. There'll be a non-roster player that plays really well. I promise you. And there'll be adversity. There'll probably be someone that misses some time due to some type of setback. This is baseball. But I mean, the real story is, what the hell are they going to do with some of these high-priced players, and how are they going to bolster this rotation or this roster? And they kind of answered some of those questions here on day one of spring training. They answered a fairly significant question.
Do you think Preller at like around 5:45 today
was listening?
No, not listening to us, but sitting in his office in Peoria, or he's at like a Denny's there, or a Chili's, or whatever in Peoria, whatever place, the Olive Garden, right? I know he likes to go to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
But he's sitting at Olive Garden in a booth, just on his phone, right? Waiting for a call back. Finally picks up the phone. It's John Seidler. He's like, John, hey, I got this great idea. All right, so we're really close to a deal with Nick Pivetta, and here's the contract layout. You think John is like, AJ, abso-freaking-lutely, do it now. I need good PR. Like, do it.
I mean, it's actually a fair point. It's a fair point. Like, was it an easy, like, turning of the wrist of ownership? I mean, they made the deal, so it must not have been that hard. I mean, they got someone to sign off on it.
Money down the road, which is always tricky now with all the money that's down the road with this team.
But you're right on all the money down the road. But what we said earlier, Cease, King, Arise, Hosmer are guaranteed $0 from the Padres in 2026. Now, I don't think that's great if they don't have Cease, King, Arise. I think it's great they don't have Hosmer. But how much money is that? Cease, King, Arise, Hosmer is how much off the books?
Do math. Here we go. 12.
Yeah.
14.
26 total.
Let's go 9 for King.
35.
And who else?
Hosmer's
Arise
12? Oh, sorry.
And Arise 12. And Arise 14.
So that's 49. Let's just call it 50. You're 50 off. You can give a starting pitcher 19.
And potentially Robert Suarez as well, which
that could be 60.
Yeah,
16. I mean, think about that. So they're clearing $50 million plus in 2026. Now that creates its own challenges to finish out that roster.
Now subtract 19 from that, because that's what Nick Pivetta's getting next year.
That's what I'm saying, though. But okay, so but that's the cost of an effective starter.
No,
yeah, I'm with you. But so you still got 30 something to play with. Now, how do you fill some of those spots that you're going to need to fill? That's for another day.
Yeah,
the 2026. But what isn't for another day is they don't have money today, but they do have money tomorrow because of Hosmer, King, Cease, Arise, all the possibility in terms of money coming off the book. So I'm just saying I get it. And I think if I'm John Seidler or whoever the hell is in charge, you're going to have to spend something. And they literally spent nothing in the now to make this happen.
Until the season starts, I just am going to go about every single day when I wake up and I look at Padres news, and then throughout the day as well, just praying I don't see a report that the Padres are on the verge of trading Dylan Cease.
I don't think he'll get traded.
No, I am led to feel more like he's not going to get traded from what you hear from Dennis tonight, and just, common sense. Like, hey, man,
right?
Are we trying to win or not? Right? Like, what are we doing? Are we trying to win, or are we trying to play silly games? Like, come on, let's go. And I want to, and I tend to believe that AJ sits there in his heart of hearts, and in moments when he's not with a microphone in front of him, he'll say the exact same thing. Like, yeah, we're trying to fucking win.
Yep, I agree.
And we're going to keep Cease. Like, that's what's happening.
Yeah, like if I'm Preller, man, I got all that tenure in this Padres organization, and I'm under contract through at least 2026. Now I've gotten to the postseason 3 of the last 5 years. I'll put my foot down here and there. Like, I'm not just gonna, we need, okay, sure, whatever. No, like you're gonna have to. I mean, listen, AJ Preller is the one driving this thing from a baseball perspective. John Seidler's not driving the baseball decisions. Eric Rupner's not driving the baseball decisions. So it's going to be on AJ Preller's freaking resume what this team. If this team goes 79-83, they're not going to talk about Eric Rupner. And they're probably, we'll talk about John Seidler because of all this instability. Yeah. But ultimately, it's going to be like on Preller. It's like GMs carry win-loss records like quarterbacks. It's on the GM. Whatever your record is on the GM. Almost more so than an ownership group.
Right. Yeah. How many times have we talked about AJ in the past of like, he's never had a 90-win season.
Yeah. We always say it with the GM.
In a World Series, never put together a roster to win a division. Like,
yeah, we put it on a GM more than ownership because the GM is driving the bus on baseball operations. So
yeah,
heavy's the head that wears the crown. JD Gaucho, thank you, man, for the super chat. He with the transition to college baseball. Aztec baseball projected in a 3-way tie for 4th place in the Mountain West. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Appreciate you. Looking forward to I think college baseball maybe starts within the next week, so thank you. James, thank you for the super chat. He says, does Pavetta's AAV stay the same even though he could potentially opt out? It would suck for him to leave, and we still have to pay full AAV for – no. AAV is only for players that are on your roster, okay? And you don't pay AAV. It's a number. Right. You pay a tax on AAV. It's confusing. If he leaves after 2026 – you don't have any AAV responsibilities on Pivetta in 27 and 28. No. So long way of saying 55 divided by 4 is $14 million, like Jim said, roughly. His AAV number for the next 2 years minimum is $14 million to the Padres. If that puts them over the CBT, they're taxed on the number that they're over. Right now, we believe they're 17 or 18 over. They're taxed 20% on that number at the end of the year.
There's two numbers. There's the AAV number and then the base salary payroll number. So this year, it's $1 million plus the $3 million signing bonus. So it's $4 million he will be paid this season by the Padres. Next year, it's $19 million. All right. Mm-hmm. So those are the two numbers that go on the payroll. But even though he's getting paid $19 million next year, his AAV number is still like 13.75?
7.5.
Yeah. You can when you backload stuff, like you look at Manny, right? Manny, his payroll number the last couple of years has been really low because they've backloaded everything. But when this contract balloons and gets really bad, he'll be making, I think he's going to get paid like $38 million per year or something along those lines.
Yeah. Big money.
And his AAV number is, I think, 35. So he'll get paid. He'll be paid more because it's backloaded. That makes sense.
Yeah. I missed this, by the way. This is a good question from JD Goucher. Thank you. Says thoughts on Bregman. 3 years, 120. I mean, way more than anyone was going to pay him.
40 a year?
Yeah, deferred. I mean, it's crazy money. It's a short deal. There's how much deferred money is in it?
I haven't really looked. I know that he turned down a 6-year, $171 million deal from the Tigers, and I think a 5 or 6 year, $150-ish million from the Astros.
40 a year is crazy.
Would you rather, if you were a baseball player, would you rather have short years, more money, or long years, like for like less money?
I want the total number. I mean, I'd rather. That's why like this makes sense for Pivetta because he's guaranteed 23 today, which is more than 20 for the 1 year. Like he's $3 million is $3 million. Like imagine if you had $3 million more guaranteed to you in life. Like that's a lot of money. I just want the higher overall number. So to your point, Bregman could have gotten way more money, not per year. He could have gotten way more money. So he's kind of betting on himself that he'll get another contract as like a 33, 34-year-old. Very possible for a player of his caliber. Absolutely.
If I was a player of like,
you're a win-win if you're getting $120 million for 3 years.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, like if I was like a Manny player or a Bryce Harper or Shohei player, I'd want stability and the money, but I want stability. Like I don't know if I was Manny, I'd be like, yeah, let me sign a 3-year, $200 million deal. I mean, that'd be crazy.
Right.
I'd want just like peace of mind. I got a family now, so it's like, hey, it's not just me; it's me, my wife, and my kid. Like we have to. I don't want to do the exact same thing in 3 years. Like, yeah, it's a lot of money, but what if I get hurt? So,
right, 100%. I mean, I was a little surprised by the dollars on Bregman. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, I was
not the dollars, the AAV. The AAV.
Right. 40 a year, dude.
Yeah, like $40 million. Wow. That's a massive number. All right, we can get back to the conversation in a moment. Jim, can you show off your MOVA Globe that is behind you?
Yeah.
MOVA Globes is back with us in 2025, and baseball is back. If you're looking for a great gift idea with opening day just weeks away, pick up a MOVA Globe. These are available right now by clicking the link in the description down below. If you use promo code PWS10, that is PWS10, you're getting 10% off. These are officially licensed. All 30 major league teams are available. They're such cool, unique keepsakes. They spin automatically with artificial or natural light. This company is based in San Diego. The technology was invented in North County at Cardiff by the Sea. Really cool, based on like magnets and what's it based on, Jim? Like how the earth moves or the moon moves or I don't know how it works, but I didn't invent the technology.
It moves based on sunlight, you idiot.
No, because it's artificial light too. If I put a light on it,
It is artificial light, but it's more so natural light. Like I have to
Steven says magnetic. It's like a magnet in there, though.
Yeah, it's magnetic. I get it. But in my office here, it doesn't spin as much at nighttime than when it does during the day.
Because of sunlight.
Yes.
Okay, so if you want these, all 30 major league teams, in addition, they've got the planetary globes. Like maybe you like the sun. I'm a fan of the sun, or the moon. They got Earth. They're all available. I mean, I like them all. Neptune. They have Neptune. Who's ever? I mean, that's crazy.
What do you think the sun's surface is like, John?
Hot.
Do you think people could go to the surface of the sun?
Look at this. Look at these puppies.
I have the one on the far right there. Or I guess the far left. I don't know.
I know, and I got an Earth globe over there and a Padres globe, but all 30 major league teams officially licensed. Pick up a planetary globe, get 10% off, use promo code PWS10. Click the link in the description down below. They're back with us in 2025. Super excited because Mova Globes, they just have terrific, terrific products. Awesome for family, friends, keepsake, home office. Your family's going to love them. Check them out. Click the link in the description down below. Use that promo code PWS10.
Yeah, get a Mobile Globe today. It's great. It's a great gift for somebody. It's great for your office. Great for a bookshelf. Great for nightstand. You know, it's just a great accent piece to wherever you want to put it. Especially if you're a Padres fan, it's just great thing to have.
What did I call it last year? The Karina Nebula or whatever.
You did. You called the Karina Nebula because you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It's okay.
What do you think your boy AJ Preller is going to say tomorrow?
Yeah, we really like the move of Nick. He brings a lot to the table. He's going to just, the strikeout rate's really good, and we needed depth, and we figured we can add depth to the rotation with Nick, and just we really, really, and we also like the back end with Matt Waldron and Vasquez have done really well too. What do you think? What do you think?
Schulte's going to say?
What's Schulte going to say?
Schulte's going to be like, yo, I watched every pitch he threw for the last 7 seasons.
This guy's a gamer, man.
The way that breaking pitch breaks away from right-handed batters as a hard-throwing righty, like he's got a chance with Ruben. I mean, Ruben won the offseason, and Pivetta, I heard, won the offseason. That combo, I mean, you got winners. This guy's a winner and a gamer.
I guarantee you, before his press conference even starts, he'll come up there. He'll be in front of everybody, right, in the back patio, and he'll go, great day to be a Padre, isn't it? Like that, huh? Yeah. Thought we were done. Like something along those lines. Like,
no doubt.
He will make a remark before someone asks a question, or the question will be like, "So, you like your new pitcher? Oh, love it. Great day. It's a great day. Like it's. I can't wait, dude."
100%. By the way, where are we? We're going to get to this Murray super chat in 1 second. Where are we in relation to 8,000? So we are 8 subscribers away. Kind of fitting from 8,000. We're 8 away from 8,000. If you're here right now and you haven't subscribed,
or on replay,
would you mind subscribing for us? What?
I said, even if you are watching us on replay and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.
Let's get to 8,000. Let's celebrate together.
We need 8K, guys.
We need 8K. We've been doing this
the
for
Padres
how many
did
years?
Something.
Finally. They're like the opposite of the do something emoji or meme. They did something.
Right.
Murray, appreciate you, man. Long time supporter of the channel. Thank you for the super. He says London is so beautiful. Off to France tomorrow. So Murray's in London. I love your shows. Nice. I'm just opinionated sometimes. No disrespect intended. No biggie.
You're very opinionated, but thanks for watching.
Appreciate it. What time is it in London right now, Jim? It's like 6 a.m.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Yeah, it's like 5 a.m.
I'm gonna Google. What time is it in London? 6:40. Boom.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Great.
6:40. Good morning. Enjoy a bagel. Thanks, Murray. Enjoy Paris or France.
Bonjour. Buongiorno.
No, in London?
Oh, wait, no. London is what?
That's Paris.
Oh, Paris. What's London then?
London's English, you moron.
No,
They don't say bonjour. They just say hi.
Hola.
No, they don't say oh. They're freaking basically us.
No,
remember?
Idiot.
Revolutionary War, like
Ciao.
yeah. No, they don't say that. I don't think.
Italy.
You moron.
I don't know. Not very cultured, as you can see.
Jesus Christ. Can I say that?
Yes, John.
YouTube.
You can even curse
All right. Well,
on here if you want.
we didn't make it to 8K, Jim. I mean, we're 7 subscribers away.
I'm
And
not
you and I said
leaving.
before we went on, like, if we don't get to 8K, we're freaking. I'm gonna delete this channel if we don't get to 8K right now.
Guys, let me tell you this straight up.
This is the last show.
If I wake up tomorrow morning and I look at our YouTube page and we're not at 8K, we're not doing another show until we get to 8K. So that's just what it is.
Unless they trade like Machado.
It's up to you. The ball is in your guys' court. 8K or bust. That's how we roll here. And yes, are we pressuring you all out there to subscribe to our channel and whoring ourselves out for subs? Yeah. Well, maybe not whoring ourselves out, but we are going to blackmail you guys. If you don't subscribe, you're not getting any more John and Jim on the wrap-up show.
Rules are rules.
That's how it is, man. And while you're at it, go subscribe to our John and Jim page for our radio show.
You know, it's funny you say that. Let me pull that up because I'll put a link in. Because all we're doing right now, I mean, with spring training underway, if you want more Padres content, if you want more John and Jim, we're doing it weekdays. Yeah, from 2 to 6.
Yeah, and most people that watch the wrap-up show watch John and Jim, or at least know of John and Jim. So
but how many people don't? You know,
I know things be changing, man. I know a lot of people didn't want to listen or watch our show on John and Jim because our audio sucked. But guess what? That's fixed. So you're welcome.
Audio.
Yep, audio's fixed. How you doing?
Right. I'll put it in here right now.
No excuses anymore.
No doubt. All right, we lost the sub. We're back to 70. We lost one.
All right, bye. Peace out. Bye, guys.
All right, join us tomorrow. San Diego Sports 760, John and Jim. We're live from 2 to 6 on YouTube, San Diego Sports 760, iHeartRadio app. We have Kevin Acee 3 times a week, by the way, on John and Jim, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if you're looking for the latest from Peoria, we'll have that for you all spring training and regular season long. So subscribe, support. I mean, we can't do this without your support. Simple as that. I mean, for us to do this, you have to support. So we appreciate the support of the wrap-up show and John and Jim on the radio. Please support our partners, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. Click the link in the description down below if you have any insurance need. Underdog Fantasy back with us in 2025. Their best offers yet. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash right now. Click the link in the description down below. Use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. And Mova Globes. If you want 10% off, get a Mova Globe for baseball season. Padres Globes available now. Use promo code PWS10. Click that link in the description down below. I don't think we blocked you, HBB, did we? Because you were probably annoying Jim or Brent or me.
Yeah, I can't watch the chat when we're doing radio. It's completely
different. I don't know.
Maybe
Are you actually blocked?
Maybe Brent did it. I don't know.
We'll check and see. How do we remind me of that tomorrow?
I already forgot.
Look at this.
Is that a threat?
All right.
Yeah, it is. Listen.
He's on 3 times a week. All right, guys. Please subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow on John and Jim and the next time as well on the wrap-up show. Thanks.